Philippines is a big and beautiful country. One of the most beautiful we've ever visited, in fact. The tropical islands here are some of the most incredible places on the planet.
We spent 2 months exploring different islands and doing as many of the exciting and fun activities that you can do here.
In this time, we learned a lot, and we've put all of that together in this handy vlog for you.
Here are the 21 things we wish we knew before visiting the Philippines.
Firstly, let's get to know the lay of the land a little bit. The Philippines is 7,000 islands.
That's a lot.
So there's plenty to see and do, and because it's so spread out, it can vary quite a bit from island to island or east to west, for example.
Very much so. Distances here can be bigger than you expect, so planning your route can take a little bit of time.
And this can have a big effect on the dry seasons, for example. So Palawan, which is a very popular place to visit, doesn't have the same dry season as Siargao, another very popular place to visit. But we'll get into all of that soon.
What is the best time of year to visit the Philippines? To be honest, when it rains, it pours, so you kind of want to avoid it when it's monsoon and the wettest seasons.
100%.
That can be easier said than done. Like Matt said, Palawan versus Siargao, different seasons as well, and if you're going on one trip, you have to try and juggle both.
In a general sense, monsoon season typically runs from June to November, and here you'll get real torrential rains, typhoons, especially in the western and northern side of the Philippines, so that's probably the most ideal time to miss.
But the dry season is from December to May, and this is when you want to hit up all those beautiful beaches, islands, and incredible outdoor activities. Though some islands like Manado and Eastern Visayas can be a little bit different, so it's best to check ahead before you get there.
And if you plan it really well, you might even be able to go on one shoulder season towards the end of the monsoon season and another shoulder season right at the start. So
Very
you can
true.
potentially find that sweet spot.
Yeah.
But yeah, you've really got to thread the needle on that one. Do you need to get a visa in order to visit the Philippines? Not for most countries, because most get a 30-day visa on arrival.
Yeah.
We stayed for 2 months, so we did have to extend ours.
Yeah.
You can do that in any major city. We chose Cebu. We arrived at the visa office literally for
As it
when
opened.
it opened. And there was one other guy there. We were in and out within half an hour.
Yeah, it was pretty fast. We would definitely recommend getting there early just to avoid any queues, because
Yeah.
if you do go later in the day, you might be waiting a couple of hours.
Or even just all day.
Yeah.
You can get a 1 month or a 2 month visa extension, and prices for that are ding.
Number 4, do you need travel insurance to visit the Philippines? And we wholeheartedly are going to say yes,
Yeah.
because you should have travel insurance everywhere you visit. It's just
It's a
necessary.
must, especially with the amount of incredible and fun
Yeah.
activities that you can do here. Scuba diving, canyoneering,
Yeah, waterfall hopping, diving,
island
everything.
hopping. Yeah, we'll get into a bunch of it later, but in the main, you're going to want to have your travel insurance. And which one do we use?
We recommend Safety Wing. We've been using them for a couple of years. We've also previously put a claim in through them, and it was super easy, really quick. They paid us pretty fast, to be honest.
I'd say within 48 hours.
Within
the
a
money
couple
was
of
back in our
days.
account.
You can either book it just for your whole trip, or if you're traveling more long term, you can book it month by month on the subscription service, which is really good.
Super handy.
We'll add a link below if you want to check them out and sign up.
And what about SIM cards? Philippines is a big country, so signal can vary between islands and things like that.
Very true.
Typically, Smart seems to be the most popular one to use with the best coverage. That's the one that we used because this was a time before we really started using eSIMs.
Very true.
Going back to the Philippines now, we would probably use an eSIM.
Yeah.
We typically use Airalo. It's super easy to set up. In this area, you might be going to Indonesia, Malaysia, Thailand. You can sort your SIM card out per country, get a package for that amount of time for that country, turn it on when you land, and then you don't have to do the whole faff around trying to find one.
Easy peasy. What currency do they use in the Philippines? They use Filipino pesos. And what is the conversion between pesos and GBP/USD? We always like to check and make sure before we go anywhere. It's really good to have a bit of a general idea.
Especially when you're at a stall trying to buy something and they're saying it's 300 peso. Having an idea of even just a ballpark figure of what that could be means that you're less likely to get scammed, or it helps you if you want to sort of barter with them a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. £1 is 70 pesos and $1 is 60 pesos. So that'll give you a bit of an idea.
And if you're visiting from your home country, whether that's the UK or the US, this might seem cheap. If you're coming from Vietnam or Thailand, things might be a little bit more expensive here than you're used to.
For sure. That leads us into, is the Philippines more expensive than other countries in Southeast Asia? And we're not going to beat around the bush. It's definitely probably the most expensive place we've been in Southeast Asia.
It's up there.
It's up there.
Yeah, for your accommodation and food, you're paying more for your flat standard room, for example.
Yeah, I think you get more value for your money in countries like Vietnam and Thailand compared to Philippines, and we'll explain a little bit more about that now.
It's very hard to give an exact budget on what you might expect to spend because you might want a bit more luxury. You might be wanting to do it on an absolute shoestring. But in a broad sense, I would expect to spend about £30 to £50 per day in the Philippines, and that's going to cover your food. Yeah, that's going to cover your food, your accommodation, and your activities.
Yeah.
And like we said, the basic level of room, not your super cheap hostels, but your average room. If you're coming from a place like Thailand, you're not going to have the same level that you might be used to there. It is going to drop down a notch, especially when you're on some of the islands and things like that. But if you really want to, you could get it lower than that 30. If you wanted to seriously cut down your costs, find the cheapest rooms that you can find and only ever eat local food at local restaurants.
But one thing we'll say is there are so many incredible activities here that are 100% worth your money. Speaking of cash, should you pay cash or card in the Philippines?
Like most places in this part of the world, in your main cities, card is going to get you a long way. You don't really need to stop at cash points. But once you're getting onto the islands, you're definitely going to want to carry cash for a few days. And if 70 pesos, for example, is same as £1, you're going to want to have a bit of a wad of cash on you. Nothing too crazy, but definitely, 100, 150, 200 pounds worth just to get you through those few days that you're going to be on those islands for. And if you're doing private tours, they probably do accept card, but they might still prefer to take cash.
Yeah, I think it was a mix for us doing that.
So definitely just have a bit of a mix, have enough to get you through a few days.
Yeah. Since the Philippines is literally a tropical paradise, you might be thinking, should I visit Cebu or Manila and head to the cities?
Manila and Cebu are super useful hubs, but the magic of the Philippines lies in those stunning, beautiful tropical islands.
Absolutely agree with that.
We didn't spend much time at all in Manila. We landed, went to a hotel, stayed overnight, left, went straight to Palawan.
Yes.
And when it comes to Cebu, we used it to get our visa.
Yeah.
And then we flew to Siargao, came back, went straight to Bohol. We spent some time in some cities, but in the Philippines, we just wanted to get to those islands.
And if we'd spent more time in the cities, we'd have spent less time in islands like Siargao, Bohol, and around Palawan.
What are the best places to go in the Philippines? Well, we've already put together a 2, 3, and 4 week itinerary, which you can see here.
And once you're on those islands, how do you get around?
In the bigger cities, you can use Grab, which works like Uber, and you can order taxis and get around that way. Super easy.
In smaller places, you can also use tuk-tuks, and as some of the locals did correct us on one of our videos, they are also called tricycles. But another really good way is to rent a scooter.
That's typically what we do, especially in some smaller places. I probably wouldn't rent one in Manila or Cebu personally. But on the island, you can get a reasonable price scooter, and we like that most because it gives you the freedom to kind of explore at your own pace.
Yeah, for sure. If you're not comfortable riding a scooter and you've never driven one before, please avoid it. And if you do, please, please, please always wear a helmet. Yay! We did it!
Rentals can vary from island to island, but typically it can be somewhere between 300 to 500 pesos per day.
Yes.
And since we're talking about driving and potentially renting a scooter, one thing to remember is that unlike the rest of Southeast Asia, I think everywhere else in Southeast Asia,
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
Philippines drive on the right-hand side of the road.
Yeah, which for us from the UK, we drive on the left-hand side of the road, so you really have to try and get it right. But if you're from the US, that's the same side of the road that you guys drive, so yeah, it's much easier.
But if you've been travelling for a while and driving scooters in other parts of Southeast Asia, you might have got comfortable driving on the left, so just take your time, especially at the start, and you'll get used to it.
Yes, the right. I kept having to remind that too.
How do you get between those beautiful islands?
Ferries are the cheapest option, although they can be a little bit unpredictable. Sometimes some inter-islander ferries will go every other day or every other day, so it can be a little bit confusing. We usually use 12 Go Asia, and we find all of our ferries on there. We tend to try and book things that are instant confirmation, even though it might be a little bit more expensive, just to have that peace of mind that we've definitely got a seat and we're definitely on that ferry.
In some instances, we might be booking it for the next day, and it can say that it might take
24 hours
to get back to you. So if you're booking it that night and you want to go in the morning,
you want to know.
Yeah. If you're really tight on time, then you can fly. It's more comfortable, it's quicker, but it's more expensive. So depending on your budget, depending how much time you have, you're going to have to make those decisions for yourself. And some places you don't have too much of an option. I don't know if you could get a boat from Cebu to Siargao.
Yeah, that's true.
Some places might be too far. Siargao was one of them that was an outlier for us. So we had to just fly there and fly back. And if you've not been to the Philippines before, one thing that you might be wondering or worried about, is it actually safe to visit the Philippines?
In our opinion, the Philippines is such a safe country. We really felt comfortable. The people here are so friendly and accommodating, happy to help. They just want to make sure you have the best time in their country, and we honestly can't recommend it enough.
Obviously, that doesn't go for absolutely everywhere. Manila is widely regarded as quite a dangerous place. It is a capital city, so I would say that goes for most capital cities anyway.
That's very true.
If someone was visiting the UK, I would probably say the most dangerous place is in London.
Yeah.
So just if you are looking to explore Manila a bit more, I would say in the main the people are still really nice, but do be careful. Once you get onto those islands, literally everyone lives on island time. Everyone is so nice and friendly.
Absolutely. You may be wondering, what is the food like in the Philippines?
I think Filipino food gets a bit of a bad rap.
Yeah.
If I was listing out all of my favourite food from the countries we've been to, and I don't want to offend any locals here, but I wouldn't put Philippines at the top.
Okay, yeah.
That just doesn't mean that it's bad, though.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people, especially if they're doing a bit of a backpacking trip, they'll have been to Thailand, Malaysia, Vietnam, and the food there is world famous. It is some of our favourite, but it's also cheaper. So then people come to the Philippines and they feel like they're maybe paying more money, which then comes with an expectation that it should be better.
But the food is not bad.
Yeah. And I think it all depends on where you eat and the experience that you have.
The local food we had here, I was going to say, is so delicious.
We had some great food.
Yeah, chicken adobo, inasal, the seafood. Oh.
Yeah, especially on the islands.
Yeah.
Some of the best food that we had was on the island hopping boats that we
all the local food we had there.
Grilling fish, grilling chicken, all of the different side dishes. You got so much variety. There's some really delicious food here.
And they would call the rice Filipino power.
Oh yeah.
It was so
I forgot
good.
about that was so good.
Same, but different. And also they have adobo papaya. Adobo papaya. And also they have a pumpkin with a fresh coconut milk.
Ooh.
Then also they have a fruits in there, ananas, mango, and watermelon. And the same. And the last but not the least, Filipino.
I actually did forget about that.
Isn't it good?
Yeah, I love it. As far as the best food that we found in the Philippines, I think that came in Siargao.
Yeah, there's a really good mix of different foods and restaurants here.
It was where we got most variety.
Yeah.
So not only do they have Filipino power, but they have Balut. I don't know if I'm saying it properly.
I think it's more balut.
Balut. But is that...
I don't know why I also did this little balut. I don't know why it's...
But do you have to try balut when you arrive? And the answer is no. We didn't try it. A lot of people in our comments were asking us to try it, make a video on trying it. If you haven't been before, we'll explain what it is. You probably have seen it somewhere on a program or something before.
True.
And it's a fertilized chicken egg. So when you bite into it, you can see a face, a beak, little legs and things, and it's actually pretty common to find here.
It is.
You get it on a lot of street vendors.
Snack.
And yeah, it's basically used as a snack. Have it with some salt, maybe with a beer.
Yeah.
We didn't try it. We weren't brave enough. Maybe next time we will.
I mean, I wouldn't say it's that much different from just eating chicken or eating... Like,
it's different when you see its face.
It is different when you see its face, yeah. But we see fish's face when we eat them sometimes.
We do. So maybe you'll be braver than us and you'll be able to give it a go. It is a local delicacy and it's, you know, it's ingrained, it's part of their culture. We don't know if it's delicious.
Let us know in the comments if you tried it. A big reason why a lot of people visit the Philippines is to take in those beautiful islands. But another thing that you should be really excited about is the activities here. And oh my God, they're amazing.
It is such a fun place and there's so many amazing activities.
Yeah.
But should we pick our top 3?
Okay, top 3. Without a doubt, number 1 goes to the 3-day island hopping tour between Coron and El Nido, or you can do it vice versa as well. And that is like etched in my brain as one of the best things we've ever done.
Yeah, we've been travelling for 4 years and this is still one of the most fun things that we've ever done.
We booked our trip with Buhay Isla. There's a couple of different companies you can book it with.
Big Boatman is another quite popular one.
Big Adventure Boatman, I think that's more expensive and like maybe, I think apparently more honeymooner vibe. I'm not sure. I'll have to double check.
We met loads of fun people with Buhay Isla. The food was amazing. The staff on the boat were incredible. We did it was just so fun.
Everything about it was incredible. We got to stay on really, really, really remote islands. No one else was there except our boat. And most of the time that we were there, any islands or beaches we visited, we were still the only boat that was there. It was just incredible.
Jumping off the boat, snorkeling, literally sailing around for 3 days in paradise.
One day we jumped off the boat and they said, oh, we'll take your stuff across the island. And we just swam from the boat to the island to where we were staying that night. We are currently swimming to our accommodation for the night.
We just jumped off the boat and decided to take the scenic route.
Yeah.
This is where we're sleeping.
It's so, so beautiful. Like everywhere has been today. We've just basically finished off day 2.
Yep.
And yeah, we're gonna sleep on this cute little island tonight. It makes me want to do it again because what an experience.
It is pretty basic when you sleep on those islands. Look at that. Do you remember that shower that you had?
This is the shower set. Wait, where is it this?
Yeah, you use
This is it?
Yeah. And there's some soap.
That was the first time I experienced that shower, and it was like at first I'd just never seen a shower without a shower head before.
A bucket shower.
It was like, I can't remember the name of it.
I can't remember.
But it was just amazing. I don't have any complaints. It was honestly one of the best trips we've ever done.
I'll go second, and the canyoneering that we did in Cebu, that was so cool.
Yeah.
Jumping off of cliffs into waterfalls, sort of floating down and falling over waterfalls, all that sort of stuff.
Pushing each other off waterfalls.
Pushing each other off, yeah, we did a This Is Sparta moment. That was so fun, so adventurous.
Yeah.
Really enjoyed that. We did it from Mobile.
Yes.
We drove and we booked a private tour for this, which meant that we could start way earlier than everyone else.
So we were pretty much sometimes there all by ourselves.
Yeah, we didn't see another person as we went through the whole track.
Also no queuing and waiting to jump off different rocks and places, which was really, really good.
So much fun.
And finally, another memory that is so deeply etched into our brains because it was incredible is Sohatong Cove, which you can get a pretty long and annoying boat all the way there. It's about two or three hours from Siargao Island, and the boat is quite loud, so they usually give you headphones. We booked a private tour there, and we actually did happen to go on Easter bank holiday weekend.
So it was
so many Filipinos we met that weekend, which was so nice.
We were the only white people there. Everyone wanted photos with us. It was a lot of fun.
We met some really great people. And while we were here in Sohatong Cove, we got to do something that we honestly never knew we needed until we did it, because it was breathtakingly amazing. And we swam with stingless jellyfish.
Let's go.
Oh no.
This is an experience in itself that I can't even explain unless you do it. The feeling, it was incredible.
Wild. It's kind of like lots of islands dotted around in the water. Such a beautiful place to visit. You can do super unique things here. Yeah, those 3 I think are a must not miss.
A must.
And I've not actually met many people that have been to Sohatong Cove.
That's true.
That have been to the Philippines.
That is true.
Maybe that's a bit of a lesser visited one.
When you book in those tours and activities, should you book private or should you book a group tour? There's different options for both, and obviously comes at a different cost.
It's going to depend on your budget quite a lot. We did private tours in Coron for the island hopping,
Yeah.
private tour in El Nido for the island hopping. The Cebu one was private.
Yeah.
You can set off before everyone else, so you can get these places a little bit quieter rather than arriving in the middle of the day when everybody's there trying to get the photos
Very
and stuff
true.
like that.
And usually with private tours, you can also choose which places you do want to go to. So with the group tours, it's usually like tour A, B, C, or tour 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah.
And they're like set tours in set places at set times. But if you do book private, you can sort of do this
Handpick.
yourself and handpick different places. You can speak to your guide that you find as well, and he can recommend like, oh, well, if we're going here, this place nearby is so beautiful and not many people go there, and he'll give you some great recommendations.
Your budget is going to dictate this, obviously, but if you're in Coron, for example, and there's 2 places in particular that you really want to visit, but they're on different tours, a private tour might be cheaper than doing 2 separate tours over 2 days.
Very true.
You can handpick everything you want to see in one day and do it sort of at your own leisurely pace as well.
We've got all of our recommended contacts, tours, trips, activities, guides, everything in our Philippines guide, which you can find in the link below.
Now, another thing that the Philippines has, which feels so unique to the Philippines, are the stunning blue waterfalls.
I genuinely thought these waterfalls were photoshopped before I came to the Philippines. How are waterfalls that blue?
Yeah, they're referred to as Gatorade blue by the locals, and that's literally the colour.
Yes.
They are amazing, and there's so many incredible waterfalls that you can see around the Philippines. So again, we'll go with our top 3.
Okay.
What are our top 3 favourite waterfalls?
I think for a mix of beauty and fun, I know they're all beautiful and fun.
They are.
Okay, we're going to start with Cambugahay Falls in Siquijor, because that not only is it so beautiful and there's different tiers to it as well, you can also pay and you basically get a full day pass to swing off
kind of climb up the rocks, climb up the tree, and then there's a rope swing, and they sort of give you a guide on
how to do it.
I think someone claps or shouts when you probably should let go because you want to
just
land in the best area. But you swing and you can
jump in.
If you're good at them, you can do flips and stuff. But that's so much fun. I would put that, it's probably the main reason to visit Siquijor Island as a whole.
I would say so. It was, like we said, so much fun. We spent way too many hours just constantly going back up, swinging and jumping off because it was just so much fun.
Another one of our favourites was Inambakan Falls, and this is in Mobile. There's multiple tiers.
I think there was 5 tiers in total.
You can do a hike that takes you a couple of hours to do the whole thing.
Yeah.
There's a guide there. You will have to pay for that, but to get them to take you to the very top, we recommend it.
Yeah.
The views are amazing, and the waterfall at the bottom, you can still do some cliff jumping and stuff from as well. And the third one, I would say, I don't know whether this is a little bit more of a hidden waterfall.
I would say more niche, this one.
Yeah. But we loved Pangus Falls, which is in Bohol Island.
Yeah.
When we were there, it was just such a fun waterfall to be at. So beautiful. You can climb along the rope and then jump from the waterfall.
It's very deep.
There's that cave that you can kind of go in through the waterfall.
It was beautiful. Yeah. And we went just after we visited Chocolate Hills.
Oh, yeah.
So on the way back from Chocolate Hills, we popped into Pangus Falls, and so worth it.
Definitely on a hot day, great to refresh off at as well.
Yeah. If you've not had enough of the water yet, maybe you want to go freediving, because freediving is such an incredible thing that you can do in the Philippines, and this is actually where we learnt our freediving qualifications too.
We did it in Mobile, which is a really great place to try it because there's a particular water activity here, so it's good prep. You can spend a couple of days learning to freedive, learning how to stay under the water for longer, so that when you come to do the sardine run, you can get some incredible pictures. Yeah,
the sardine one is a very iconic thing to do in Mobile.
And the final thing that you need to remember before you visit is on your trip, make sure to respect the nature here, respect the people, and ultimately just try and keep it such a beautiful place.
Leave it as you found it, don't litter, and do not snap off a piece of coral and take it home as a souvenir. Let's keep this country as beautiful as we found it.
That's all for our 21 things that we wish we knew before visiting the Philippines. We hope this gets you excited to visit. We honestly love this country. We know that you will too.
Yeah. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next week.